I'm Aaron Everscared, VP of Marketing here at OneSpace, and I'll be today's moderator. Today's webinar is entitled Through the Eyes of a Contributor, What It's Like Working on Assignments in WorkStation. We have a lot we want to share with you, so without further ado, I want to turn it over to Amanda Wobbe, Senior Project Manager here at OneSpace, who will be presenting the webinar. In addition, she will be joined by Miranda Patton, who will be driving the screen for us. So welcome, ladies, and the floor is yours.
Hey guys, welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Again, I'm Amanda. Many of you already know me, and we have Miranda here who is driving. I'm going to go ahead and also introduce Dan, another one of our Project Center project admins. Why? I know Dan gets super excited about this stuff, and I would be super surprised if he holds himself back from chiming in from time to time. So we're going to try to get stick with that 17-minute schedule. So we're going to dive in, but I do want to let you know that we do have that question and answer functionality. So you can go ahead and type that in, and we have allocated some time at the end to address all of those questions. So you can go ahead and text them through the little application we're using. So we're going to jump in. So since the launch of Project Center, millions of tasks have been completed utilizing OneSpace's network of talent. You have come to know these individuals as contributors. Have you ever paused and wondered what a contributor experience was like, and just how understanding that experience could improve the way you position your workflow? Well, today, we hope to address these questions by giving you a glimpse into their world of our contributor-facing platform, WorkStation. So, we will walk you through the highlights of WorkStation, which will include contributor dashboard and metrics, how contributors find your assignments, and what they look for. And we will be jumping into live assignments to review things to think of when creating your instruction and UI. Before we jump in, I wanted to quickly recap the differences between OneSpace's two key platforms and what takes place in each. So we got the platform you are all intimately familiar with, which is Project Center. This is where you, as a client, go to set up and launch projects, as well as monitor and manage work. What we are looking at today is WorkStation. This is the platform where people go to actually find, submit work, and receive payment for the projects you have created and released. We're going to go ahead and pop right into that. Okay. So the first page that displays here when a contributor logs in is the dashboard. Just like your Project Center has a dashboard that displays relevant metrics that help you manage your projects, contributors also have a dashboard displaying pertinent information that helps them manage their business of freelancing. So you can see here, it's a business, break it down. A lot of it is feedback and money. So we have the total earnings to date. We have the pending feedback, which is feedback a contributor has been sent on an assignment that still needs to be reviewed. We have earning by assignment type. Miranda's going to click into some of those. This breaks down information separated into assignment types such as categorization, editing, and moderating. So we have the earned. We also have the pending review. This is how many tasks have been submitted and are currently waiting for a review. And the amount owed. This summarizes what tasks have been approved but not yet paid. Why is this important? Because freelancing is like running your own business. You want to invest your time in projects with a high ROI. This dashboard helps contributors track this information and helps them make decisions on where they need to focus their efforts to get the best results. So for example, if a contributor submits a task that needs to be reviewed before being compensated for, they can easily check their dashboard to see how many submissions they have pending, which Miranda is showing you here. If those submissions are reviewed in a timely manner and they receive feedback of a job well done, they will likely choose to focus more of their time and efforts towards that project. So where do you find those assignments? The work page, which Miranda is going to click into now. Okay, the work page is where all the open assignments live. Here, a contributor will see the full list of active assignments that they have access to. How do they get access to assignments? You set them. So whether it's selecting one of OneSpace's curated teams or creating a team of your own, you have control over who sees and is allowed to work on your assignments. What you are seeing here are all the assignments this contributor is able to work on, which just so happens to be Miranda. So everything on this page can be filtered or searched. allowing contributors the ability to navigate to assignments that interest them. And the goal is you want your assignments to interest them. Show you that search functionality. And again, here on the left, you have all these filters. Again, why is this relevant? Because every single aspect of this page, both the search elements and the filters, are applied by you in Project Center. So while some of these fields may initially seem minor when setting up a complex workflow, you can now see how relevant they are to contributors that you're looking to connect with. Ideally, you have contributors who work on your assignments, enjoy it, find that they have found success in them, and you want them to go ahead and favorite, which they have that capability. So we're going to hop over here, show you the assignments that we have favorited. And what this means is that freelancer is likely to prioritize this. So they're going to log in every day, likely click on their favorites, and the first assignments that they're going to want to work on are their favorites, which is what we're going to pop into now. So right here, we're going to do a write assignment, content oriented. So at the top, you will see task details. Again, all set by you. Some of the important things to note about time remaining is it can help you control velocity and quarterly deadlines. While on the flip side, it helps contributors schedule and prioritize their days of what they want to work on. So one thing I do want to clarify, because I sometimes gets confusing, is this time is for a single assignment. The timer starts for each new assignment. So once this contributor submits and completes this assignment and a new one begins, that timer starts over from scratch. The really important takeaway about this timer is to leave a cushion. Freelancers appreciate flexibility and need the option to get up, make lunch, or pick up their child from school mid-task. So keep that in mind when you set this time limit. As a best practice, I recommend giving 3 times the amount of time required. Okay, so we also have the pay per assignment where, let's be real here, is a significant and sometimes sensitive subject for both sides. As you can imagine, there are many variables that go into the pay rate. While there are starting market rates for general types of work, there is definitely no magical formula. It all comes down to the level of effort, time, and skill that is needed to complete the job. A lot of times, we start with the basics, like word count or the amount of attributes being tagged. While these are certainly important, they definitely play a role. They're not the only things to consider. Think beyond the tangible work being returned. Consider the instructions and how you have outlined your expectations. Do the assignments require 5 minutes of research or 50? How many resources are the contributors expected to check or collect? And what are your like to have versus hard requirements? How subjective is the task? And are there a lot of nuances? Again, you can see we can go on and on. There are a lot of factors that should be considered when setting the pay rate for each assignment. So we're going to stop it there because we can go all day with this. But one thing I do want to clarify and let you guys know is that it's okay not to get it right the first time around. There's no way to anticipate everything that could possibly happen in the assignments. So we have set this so that this is an editable field within Project Center. A lot of times, you don't really truly know the pay rate until you have that work live and you're being given feedback by those contributors. So at any point in time, this can be adjusted in your Project Center account. So now we're going to look past those details. And the first thing a contributor sees is the instructions. So yes, you draw contributors in with those details from that Find Work page. So all those filters we talked about, but it is the instructions and guidelines that tell the story. Now, there are a lot of tips and tricks I could relay about writing effective instructions, but we actually have a webinar already scheduled for that. And I want to talk beyond best practices. So yes, outlining clear, objective, step-by-step directions is super important. But again, think outside the actions. Think about when you are scoping out the project, both internally or with us. Think of all that background information and tribal knowledge that you hold. That is super helpful when we're building the workflow. And I can promise you it is just as helpful to the contributor when completing the task. So give them an overarching goal of the project. Not only does that help the contributor understand the end destination, but gives contributors buy-in to the whole project. This sells them on the bigger picture and makes them more committed to your vision. Okay, so I know that sounds super cheesy, but I've been telling you the most common question we get from contributors for assignments are you able to tell us who the client is? Why? Because they think of themselves as more just of executioners of tasks. They are your workforce. They want to be your team. So not only do they complete the work for you, but they can also help you. I promise you, I can't tell you how many times a contributor has asked a question or made a recommendation that has led to changes and actually improvements in assignments. So trust me, they want the project to succeed. So give them everything they need to assist in that. So how you can do that is providing organized context. As you can see here, the instructions are organized into tabs so a contributor can go back and quickly reference information they need. We can make to-do and don't list. You can create a question and answer tab, and you can provide examples, lots and lots and lots of examples, and more examples. But in reality, you want to do everything to be sure you're equipping your team with all the knowledge you've gained working on the project. Take it, hand it over, give it to them. Okay, and once a contributor has read through and familiarized themselves with the instructions, and again, that overall objective we're talking about, they can go ahead and hide those tabs and focus 100% on completing the assignment in the task UI. So here we're reviewing the elements which you guys are very familiar with. We have those collect elements, which appear at the top. This is the information you have provided to the contributor. So location, we even do a clickable link. At the bottom, we have the collect element, and this is the information that the contributor is returning to you. So what are we looking for here? Clean, clear, organized fields. I'm sure you guys can sense the theme here, but the goal is efficiency. You want to streamline the contributor process so they can complete the task. To increase efficiency, consider using hyperlinks, images, and resources. And pictures. Pictures can tell 1,000 words. I promise you, if you can pull in an image, it just makes for a better user experience. People love images. You can see here, so some of the things we did, rather than having a contributor go and search a map of the location, we have provided that as a clickable link. Again, anytime you can reduce the contributor to go outside the platform and do searches, gains efficiency, again, which in return all tracks back to the level of effort when setting the pay rate. On the opposite end, you do not want to clutter the UI with information that is not helpful to complete the task. So for example, if you have a unique user ID, probably not relevant to pull into the UI. You don't want to send contributors down a wild goose chase trying to figure out how they can use that input to complete the assignment. So as we can scroll down here, other than the basics, one thing I do want to note is you want to try to keep everything possible inside the task UI. So for example, if you have that data and you can supply it in your input sheets to surface in the UI, do it. You do not want a contributor wasting time going to your website to review the information when we can actually pull it into here. Again, we're trying to gain efficiencies here. The other things you can see are the validations. Those are no surprise to you, but you can put those in to ensure that all those parameters are met and requirements are met to be able to submit the task. Again, in time remaining, let's imagine I finish this job amazingly and I complete it, and I will be taken directly to the next one with plenty of time to spare. Okay? Next, we're going to go ahead and go to a different assignment. I'm going to go ahead and show you an example of the data. static image. Again, you can see here, different time remaining, different pay rate. Obviously, it all relates back to the LOE. We still have the organized instructions with tabs, with examples. You can scroll down here, same concept, go ahead and hide it. Here we have that beautiful image that contributors love to see, and all the pertinent information displayed to them to be able to complete the assignments. We even have, hey, not quite sure how to tag this. Let's go ahead and click it so we can take a closer look to make sure that we have full visualization and the expectation of how they're supposed to be completing the assignment. So down here, to complete it, they can review it. They checked all the by. Again, look, super subjective, so you will know in the instructions and style guidelines, we have a pretty information on what each of those should be. Again, lots of examples. Okay, you can click down. And so we've outlined, all the elements. Again, we can put validations in place to ensure that, one, multiple, or all are clicked before a contributor can submit the work. Again, we want to make it easy for the contributor so they're completing the assignment properly while still holding all your validations. So we're going to go ahead and, mind you, this is not real data. This is not being sent to a client. So she's just clicking no. What you can see here, and this is what I wanted to show you, is once a task is submitted, a new assignment is automatically brought up. What this means is it gains, again, efficiency. You want the contributor to keep going. You want them to get in the zone and hammer through, becoming more efficient and effective with each one. What you don't want is for them to complete 1 or 2 assignments and stop because something about the assignment just didn't match up and they didn't feel they could complete it properly. Again, contributors want to do their jobs well. And as you all well know, they have ratings associated with their profiles. So if they don't feel that they have a full understanding of the assignment, if the directions are not clear or if the UI is confusing, they might exit it because they don't want the chance of completing the assignment wrong. So what you don't want, I can show you, go up here, is for someone to return, basically decide, I'm not confident in what I can complete in this, so I'm going to go ahead and return this. You want them to keep on going. You want them to become your trusted workforce, and you want them to commit to their projects. Again, you imagine they do 5, they're good. They do 1,000, they're better. They do 5,000, they're probably great. So you want them to learn and grow and to become experts on your assignments. And to do that, again, it's a balance. Everything needs to come together. Okay. We can go ahead and submit this. So what we have learned here is really all those small details when setting up a workflow. Every aspect of instructions, they all have an impact. Setting up a project in Project Center has direct impacts on how you find work, how contributors select their work, and how the contributors complete their projects. Again, this includes everything from assignment type to assignment description. Again, how you design the UI directly impacts the contributors and how what they complete affects the quality of work returned to you. So what I want to say here is think about every aspect when setting up your workflows, and listen to contributors when they give you feedback, because again, you guys want to work together. We want to think of you guys as a team and to make sure that when you win, they win. When they win, you win. So again, making sure everything coincides is beneficial to all parties. And with that, I think we've come to the end. So I'm going to hand it over to Aaron with any of the questions that came in along the way.
Great. And as Amanda said at the beginning of the webinar, if you do have any questions, you can use the chat box on the lower left-hand corner of your screen to enter those, and we can knock off any that you might have. And let's actually see if we have any in here. So Actually, the first one here is how do I determine what types of validation and task elements that I need to use? So it sounds like kind of what validation would I want to do like in the UI itself is kind of how I'm understanding that.
Oh, sorry, what was that?
Yeah, so the question is what sort of tasks like elements and validation? So you kind of talked about some of that URL validation or word count. Like how do I determine kind of when do I want to use those or maybe when don't I want to use those?
Gotcha. Okay, so I mean, you really want to consider what your end product needs to look like. So let's say you need writers to create blog posts, let's say for your website. What does the other published content on that site look like? Does it contain hyperlinks? Does it need to adhere to a certain word length? Once you answer these questions, you want to take a look at that design of your project and try to model your task UI after the end product. So that's where you're pulling in those validations of, do you need a hyperlink? We have an element for that. Do you have word requirements? We have validation for that.
Got it. So it's almost like you want to put
Think of a template.
Yeah, exactly. So I was just going to say, when you have a template, basically it's a way for you to put the guardrails in around your content to make sure you're getting a very predictable product at scale. You know, since we're dealing with this, the instructions only get you so far as you kind of talk through, and really it's a way to put some sort of technical guardrails around it. Got it. Let's see what other questions we have here. What would make a contributor want to work on, say, my assignment versus maybe a competitor's assignment? So not a competitor's assignment, but maybe another company who might be also publishing out a piece of content. So I'm posting my jobs. Maybe I'm not seeing the throughput as fast as I want to. Is it that I'm competing with other people, or how does that work?
I see Dan raising his hand over here. I knew he couldn't go the entire webinar without speaking, so I'm going to hand this over to him.
Yeah, I would actually love to jump in and answer that question. So there are actually many factors that could influence this. As Aaron mentioned, there are multiple jobs that are being posted, and there are different clients that are posting these projects. The first, I guess, as mentioned, there are many, but the ones that I do want to point out are first, ease of search. So is your assignment easy to find? Is it clear upon just first glance what will be required of these freelancers? And this is all created in the setup on our end as the project owner. So as we're building out our workflows, we can establish these settings. But this is important not to overlook. Another thing is pay rate. So this is each freelancer's livelihood. And I think it's self-explanatory. Contributors are drawn to more attractive pay rates.
So for the pay rate one, is that kind of like the ROI component that we're talking about?
Yeah, we found a lot of contributors are actually calculating their effective hourly rate. So they're looking at this, and of course, pay rate will change depending on tasks. But they are looking at the ROI of completing these tasks and how much time they're spending.
And I think I had heard at one point, one of the things that we were doing internally, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that at certain times we'll actually work the task as if we were a freelancer working the task to understand, how long does it actually take versus assuming it. So I think that's always a good exercise to do it. And actually, probably even a better recommendation is to pass it to somebody sitting next to you and having them work your task as if they've never read these instructions before. So cool. Are there any other contributing factors to why somebody might not be working on my assignment?
Yeah, a couple more I would note, just the number of available tasks. So freelancers do prize consistent and continuous projects. If they know there's going to be a steady stream of work for a particular assignment, they will be drawn to that entire project. And they will take the time to learn and apply themselves fully towards your goals. So again, the way to look at this is if this is their main source of income or even a side part of their income, wouldn't you too prize that consistent volume? The last couple of things I wanted to mention, just concise and clear instructions. Amanda hit on that in the webinar pretty well. No one likes to read pages and pages of instructions to begin working on tasks, and the same goes for ambiguous instructions. Being clear and concise is something that they look for when actually working these tasks. So this is one of your more important to-dos when creating a project, and that's why we do plan to devote an entire webinar on this topic over the next few months to dive deeper into just instruction creation. And then the last thing I'll mention as just another factor is time limits. So while not maybe perhaps the biggest deterrent or even motivator to working tasks, contributors will not pick something up that does not give them adequate time to complete their assignments or give them the flexibility to complete it on their timetable. So I think there's a give and take there, but they do appreciate a bit of leeway. They are freelancing for a reason. So just to recap on that, I know I listed off just quite a few, but ease of search, pay rate, the number of available tasks, and that consistent volume, and then just concise, clear instructions, and always that time limit is a consideration to keep in mind.
Great. Thank you, Dan, for jumping in on that. Do we have any other questions in the system? Actually, it doesn't look like we have anything else. So if there's nothing else, I want to thank Amanda, Miranda, Dan for you guys jumping in and doing the OneSpace's 17-minute webinars this particular week. And so we are doing these every couple of weeks. And so if we'll always be in touch to push out when new ones will be available. So we look forward to hearing any feedback that you might have. Shoot it over to your account manager. Dan and Amanda always love your feedback on how we can make these better and provide you guys with the best value and best use of your time. So once again, Aaron Everscared here at OneSpace, and thank you guys for joining.